Marvel have had a tough road for the last few years. Or certainly there have been some successes along the way, but overall they've been tracking downward as opposed to upward since Endgame. But that doesn't mean that everything before Endgame was all sunshine and roses, especially in the realms of television. With one such example being Iron Fist Season 1. The Netflix exclusive show being, well, poorly received both critically and commercially. And from what I remember watching it, yeah, there's good reason for that. It never really reached above okay. Season 2 was far better, and that will have its day. But first let's talk about Season 1, because you know what, I still find it incredible that they were able to produce 13 episodes the first season from what I remember being the budget of a rice cake with about 2 weeks pre-production. I'm going to give them their flowers for that, but what can we learn from this? What is the story behind the story of Iron Fist? Let's take a closer look and find out. Our story does not begin with Netflix, but it actually begins in 2000. Originally, Iron Fist was supposed to be its own movie in 2000, starring Ray Park, and already that sounds amazing. But nothing actually came of it, despite the production going through multiple directors. So that was the end of that. But not for long. When Marvel Studios really began to get going in 2010, producing their own movies, in 2010 Ray Wilkes was tasked to write a new screenplay for Iron Fist, and in 2013 Iron Fist was set to be a future project for Marvel. That was in May. By October, Marvel Television had announced 4 new projects they wanted to bring to the small screen. Those included Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, and Iron Fist. With these projects being shopped around to see who would pick up the bill, with Netflix eventually making a deal with Marvel. But that doesn't mean that from here on out things were smooth sailing. By 2015, rumours were abound that writers were having trouble balancing the more mystical elements of Iron Fist's story with the more grounded level that Marvel was purported to be at this sort of time, or at least the more grounded level that Marvel Television was working with. Poor Jeff Loeb, then executive producer, was quickly trying to put out fires, trying to quash these rumours, without actually admitting that that was what was going on. With it then either being stated that Iron Fist would become a movie or be replaced entirely with a Punisher series. Everything changed after Jessica Jones's premiere. After Jessica Jones's premiere, Scott Buck was hired as showrunner for Iron Fist, with Iron Fist originally being slated to come out after Jessica Jones, but then was swapped with Luke Cage, as Luke Cage's breakout success in Jessica Jones propelled the series forward. Because the superpower of the show was a glowy hand that punched good, it was decided to focus more on the martial arts side, and this came through also in a lighter tone, as well as what Buck said was more of a feminist approach. Crikey. With a series of strong female characters that would need to prop up the male characters. I'll get more into this on Season 2. Finally, casting began in November 2015, with Finn Jones of Game of Thrones fame being cast as Iron Fist in February 2016, and by April, everyone else was cast. With the series finally coming to release on Netflix in one big Netflix dump in March 2017. I think you can notice there's already a problem. So you're telling me that after being cast in February, with everyone else being cast in April, so that's 2 months, he's already gone to train, 2 months, less than a year later, so 11 months later, the series is ready to be released. So that would mean that they would have had to start shooting very, very quickly between when everyone was cast. I couldn't find an actual date as to when they started shooting, but it had to be really quickly. So you're telling me that at most Finn Jones got 2 months to turn into a kung fu master. I mean, it took me 5 years to get ready to teach, and I knew I didn't know everything. It's already kind of a bad start as to what sort of quality we can expect from these fight scenes, because it is remarkably difficult to find fight scenes for Season 1. Season 2, yeah, can find plenty. Season 1, really difficult. So we're going to react to 2 fight scenes today, because I could only find 2 2-minute clips of them. They're trying to hide the fight scenes from Season 1, what does that tell you? Well, already, a lot of close-ups and far-away shots, and a lot of shadows. They're really trying to hide either that it's not Finn Jones, or that Finn Jones is real bad. It would be real easy. I don't want to be too bad. I don't want to be too negative about Jones's ability, because Really, what was he supposed to do? He had 2 months of training work. Maybe that would give him some... Maybe he would learn some stuff, but in order to really be portraying a kung fu master, he wouldn't have had that sort of time. Heavily relying on a stunt double would have been a lot easier if, say for example, if he just was wearing a mask. He was wearing more contemporary clothes, but just wore like the half mask, the yellow mask that Iron Fist has. If he just had that, it would have been a lot easier to hide his face. To hide his face, to hide a stunt double, and to have some real good fight scenes with some real good composition in terms of the framing of these shots. Because otherwise you've got a lot of close-up, got a lot of far-away shots, a lot of quick cuts, so you can't really see anything. That was sort of him, but you could kind of tell as well. Let me go back to that kick there. You can kind of tell they're going kind of slowly. Like that kick, for example. That kick would be impressive if it was fast. If it was faster and it really looked like it had impact to it. But because I think that was Jones, it's not as though that kick looked like it had a lot of power, so looked too slow, looked too choreographed. My question is, however, if they only had such a limited time between casting and production, why did they not hire someone who was really familiar with stunts? Why did they not hire someone who was a stunt double, who was a professional stunt actor? Why not do that instead of getting someone who probably was a complete novice and only had 2 months to... See, the camera shots are so poorly choreographed. None of it has impact. None of it you feel as though has any sort of composition. So how are you supposed to identify with any of it if none of it has impact, you can't really see any of it, and we're supposed to believe that this guy is this martial arts expert who worked for years in order to get to this level? I don't buy it. Okay, let's try this one. Okay, that's a bit better. Pop the collar. Okay. It's the Axe Gang, we're in Kung Fu Hustle again! That's actually a cool shot, I like that. Okay, you get some wins. See, here when there's more limitations in terms of the in terms of how the choreography can go, it doesn't look as bad. Okay, that's not bad. So it can do it, it's just demanding certain shots, demanding a certain kind of choreography. Just makes it that much, just elevates it a bit more, huh? Get it? Elevator? An elevator? Oh, I'm a genius.
Sometimes I stagger even myself with my genius.
Did we need this extended section with the elevator? Gonna see how it goes, but okay, I'm liking the style of it. Really see what's going on here. I think this again is just style over substance. Because now it doesn't feel as though there's as much impact. It should be working. Why does it not feel as though it's working? Because if you compare this to... It might be unfair to compare it, but if you compare it to the elevator fight scene in Captain America Winter Soldier, every blow feels as though there's impact, there's agency, and the same thing should be applying here. But it's not, because it doesn't feel as though it has impact, as though it has any real power to the punches or any sense of danger. I feel as though less is more should have applied here. Where it should have gone, okay, we get the fight scene in the hallway, and then they go into the elevator, and then it cuts to when they're at the lower floor, just a pile of unconscious people around. I feel as though that should have been better, more implied than anything. But that's kind of a cliche. But I feel as though that would have worked better. Or just have a fight scene that has real impacts to it. This is an odd one. I don't want to be too negative to this, because this isn't Finn Jones's fault, the actor, because when he's given sufficient time to prepare, there was season 2, for example, there's definitely a mark up in quality in terms of his ability. So I don't want to blame him, because not his fault, he only had about 2 months to prepare, so what could he do, really? The composition of shots just wasn't there, and I think really it was hampered by the lack of ability to get a stunt double, or if they had a stunt double, to really hide the stunt double better, or just easily switch out the two. And just an easy way to do that was just the mask. Like, take for example with Daredevil, for example, he wears the mask all the time. Why not just have Iron Fist wear the yellow mask? Then you could easily switch out the two, while still having a good composition of shots where you could really showcase real ability. Or just get someone that actually knows stunts. So this is why I say people like Scott Adkins, Donnie Yen, they're a dying breed, because it always has to be the A-listers, the A-list actors, and you just have to pretend that they're great fighters, great martial artists, all of that. Just get the martial artists to do their job. I don't know if we'll get Iron Fist back in any sort of capacity. Part of me hopes so, because I want to see Finn Jones come back and really redeem himself, because the reputation of the show and the character is still quite negative. With films like Shang-Chi, I really hope that side of the Marvel Universe can really have its due. Like, imagine Shang-Chi and Iron Fist teaming up in one film. Oh, that would be awesome. But with the way Marvel's going, I don't know. It seems they're relying more on what they know works, rather than really trying to expand out to newer characters that could work, because so far the new characters have either failed or not been as much household names as what's worked before, so they're just going back to old reliable. But what do you make of Iron Fist? Comment down below with your thoughts on Season 1 and what did you think of Season 2? But until then, thank you very much for watching, and until next time, be seeing you.